SPIRE Yoga is a holistic approach that looks at the psychology, it looks at the physiology.
It's almost as if going back to the foundations of yoga, of what yoga really was meant to be.
In SPIRE Yoga, we have come up with this beautiful sequence that will balance the body quickly. Of course, doing it once won't balance it, but each time you do it, it'll get better and better and better.
We're really talking about yoga as so much more than a workout. It's an entire experience.
80% of all the pain you'll feel in your life is due to a muscle imbalance. So if we can do this in a yoga flow, which we've developed beautifully and is presented so well here.
I think it's just magic. The way these philosophies come together and the way the sequence really heals the body and balances it. Hello and welcome everybody. I am so happy to see you all, and I can see people are from, wow, pretty much all over. We have friends signing in from everywhere. I'm Tania Kazi. I want to introduce you to what SPIRE Yoga is all about. And I want to take your questions and your concerns and your thoughts. And if you're on the fence about taking a yoga teacher training, or where you are in your journey of personal development. So I'm just going to start a little bit with Happiness Studies Academy that a lot of you are probably familiar with already, which, true to its name, is dedicated to help us awaken to the science of happiness, right? When Dr. Ben-Shahar approached me about creating a yoga program for the Happiness Studies Academy, it seemed like it would be a natural and, in fact, a necessary addition to the academy. And I have been his student at Harvard. I studied positive psychology with him, and I was really drawn to his electric passion and dedication to teaching the tools and the skills and share all the scientific research on how one can be in charge of one's own happiness, of one's own well-being. And I know at that point, even though he was teaching positive psychology at Harvard University, he was thinking far beyond just the intellect, which is why he's been thinking about creating a yoga department for the Happiness Studies Academy. Because, you know, research points us towards mind health influencing body health, and body health influencing mind health. We have done away with the Descartesian idea that a human being is not a whole and that we are different parts, whereas in fact, we are all of it, right? We're our feelings, our emotions, our bodies, our minds, our souls, our spirits. So we brainstormed together with Tal Ben-Shahar, myself, and Lee Albert, who is nicknamed the Magician at the Kripalu Institute of Yoga, which is one of the biggest yoga institutes in the United States. And we collaborated to bring together 3 unique pillars that came together to become SPIRE Yoga 200-hour Yoga Alliance certified teacher training. So I just want to share a little background and how SPIRE came about and what is the goal and what are you going to learn if you signed up for this program, and how SPIRE Yoga is different than other yoga teacher trainings. After studying positive psychology at Harvard, I went to work in corporate America, and then decided I wanted to make a big switch to my health, my healing, my life, and go towards yoga. Only because I felt I had my own traumas, my own stories, that I was unable to kind of resolve or make peace with. And having been a student of Thal's and having studied positive psychology, I understood that understanding human healing just through the brain is not effective enough. We gather the knowledge, but it doesn't quite get synthesized into our body. It kind of stays up here in the cerebral spectrum, right? In the cerebral space. It was only when I started doing yoga, I did my first teacher training in Ashtanga. That was my first 200-hour teacher training in New York City, that I realized, wow, there's a whole universe below my neck, which feels pain, it feels hurt, it feels emotions, it feels damage, it feels joy, it feels sorrow. And I hadn't really taken the time to address it or meet with it. But in fact, what would happen with time is that I would feel pain in my body, or I would feel a soreness, or get injured unnecessarily too fast without even having to do too much. But it was because I was unaware of how to work with my body in a way that healed my body, in a way that took care of my body. And so having been a student of psychology, I knew that yoga was an integral part. We can't leave the body behind because this is really the car in which we can sit and travel through our lives, right? It has to be given as much importance, if not more. So I'm sure many of you here are yoga practitioners. I'm sure some of you are really curious. The new year has started. I want to make some positive changes in my life. I'm done doing things the same way all this time and getting the same result. And I need to change things up. I need to up level. And if you're really drawn, I'll tell you a secret about SPIRE Yoga, and I'll share many secrets, but it's really going to prepare your body for the future, the body that you're living in presently and the body that you will be living in the future. Whereas, the yoga teacher trainings that I have gone through, my 200-hour, sorry, I'm getting over a cold, so a little stuffy. But my first 200-hour teacher training was in Ashtanga. My 300-hour teacher training was in Prana Flow. And they were beautiful and rigorous practices. But they were great for when my body was in its 20s. They're not very useful to me right now in my late 40s. I needed something different. I needed something that could keep up with the changes that my body was going through, physically, hormonally, all that jazz, right? When I talked about the 3 pillars of SPIRE Yoga, I want to talk about the first one, which is the ancient wisdom of yoga. 5,000-year-old practice. We're now in 2026. We're still hearing and practicing it because it has consistently shown spectacular results. From my first yoga class in 2004 to my first teacher training in 2008 to present day, there isn't a day that I can't do at least a sun salutation. I know my body needs it, like food, like nurturing. So we will study the ancient wisdom of yoga, the 5,000-year-old art and science of what yoga is all about, the 8 limbs of yoga, all of it in its entirety. The second pillar upon which SPIRE Yoga stands is called the integrated positional therapy. Now, because we are Yoga Alliance certified, and you will be getting the gold standard at the end of your training with us, Yoga Alliance has certain requirements that need to be fulfilled. And that include certain amount of anatomy hours. So the anatomy that SPIRE Yoga is offering, unlike other yoga teacher trainings, is specifically called integrated positional therapy, which is created by Lee Albert, and it's based on the premise that more than 80% of pain in the body is due to muscle imbalance. And worldwide, the pain industry alone is spending about $650 billion, I almost choke at that amount, $650 billion on pain management. So, we're all carrying a little bit of pain here and there, and some of us a little bit more chronic. IPT, or integrated positional therapy, is designed to heal pain in the body, which is what sets SPIRE Yoga apart from every other yoga teacher training. Because it is the science of balancing muscles in the body so that no one muscle or no one set of muscles is overstretched or overextended such that the body will experience pain now or later. So the anatomy part that you will study in this yoga teacher training is medicinal. It's not just random anatomy that a regular yoga teacher training teaches, in which I definitely learned different muscles, different bones, different movements, extensions, flexions, all of that. Yeah, you'll learn that, but you'll also learn how to actually actively heal pain in your body and in the bodies of your students moving forward. And then the third pillar is the happiness science pillar, or the MBI, mind-body integration, which is based on Dr. Ben-Shahar's work and the research he has compiled. And it basically suggests the premise of MBI is every emotional feeling has a physical corollary. In simple terms, the way you hold your body, the way you hold postures is affecting your nervous system, and it's affecting your brain, right? And we'll share the work that is done in neuroscience to back all that research with, right? So each pillar of the SPIRE Yoga teacher training is truly empowering. And when I heard about this and we started working on it, we developed a set sequence. And I started practicing it after being an Ashtangi for 14 years. And it's really transformed my body. It's really transformed my life. And I feel confident that I can grow old in this body without having to experience pain in it, right? So these are some of the basic, I'm basically covering what the pillars are. These three pillars do come together synergistically, right? And they're integrated in the training so that when you go through the training, you learn all these valuable tools and skills. And then you get your certification at the end of it. I'm going to talk a little bit about yoga. I'm sure most of you were drawn to this because of the yoga teacher training part. You have a desire to learn, go deeper in your study, or actually actively make a switch in your careers, which is what I did, and went off in the direction of healing and well-being. And I've never looked back, and I've never regretted it, not even one day of my life. The sequence, there's about upwards of 200 yoga postures in the Yoga Bible, which is called the Hatha Yoga Pradipika. And from those 200 plus postures, we have extrapolated the ones that truly heal the body and balance the body. And they're really simple. What is surprising is you don't have to be an Olympic yogi. You don't have to be someone who's been doing yoga for 15 years to be part of this training. When I joined my first 200-hour teacher training, I couldn't even touch my toes. But our teacher training, SPIRE Yoga, is even more forgiving and loving and welcoming. And you probably know SPIRE. Some of you might be familiar with what it stands for. It's an acronym. S for spiritual, because we will cover spiritual knowledge. P for physical, because physical is important. I for intellectual stimulation. are relational. I think one of the most fantastic side effects of being a yoga teacher has been how my relationships have changed with people I love, with strangers, with acquaintances, with old friends, and how much richer they have gotten through the practice of yoga, through the practice of meditation in my life. And E, emotional, not to leave the world of emotions behind. So that is what the acronym stands for, right? I am happy to take your questions. And if you're excited, we could do a little bit of a practice together as well, just to give you a feel of what SPIRE Yoga is about. I also want to share that Lee Albert has been healing chronic pain in people's bodies for the last 30 years. And he found that most of his clients were actually yoga teachers with pretty drastic injuries over time. And that's why he became very adamant about how yoga was being taught in the Western world and how it needs to be resuscitated in a way that we take it back to its origin, to its roots, and infuse it with the research that supports and heals the modern body. Okay. I'll just run through a few other details that are important. It is a 14-week program. We will cover everything from introduction, and we'll start to get to know each one of you, get to know where you are in your journey. What are you hoping to accomplish? Where do you want to see yourself at the end of 2026? How much has the needle moved? How many changes, positive and ones that help you evolve, have occurred? We're covering a lot of asana. So that's posture. We call it the asana lab. You're going to study the 8 limbs. You're going to study pranayama, meditation. We'll study the energetic body. We'll study the ethics of yoga. And then we'll study certain poses that are really simple, but immensely powerful. And you will learn the benefits of those poses and how to hold them and how to teach them. You will learn how to create a class. You will learn how to hold space for students that are walking in with their own stories and their own traumas and their own baggage, right? But you will learn how to cue them, how to create themes, how to create your sequence. And at the end of the 14 weeks, we have a little final exam. It's called a practicum, which is a submission that Yoga Alliance requires to see that everyone has learned all the benefits and all the skills and the tools to go out there in the world and heal bodies and heal themselves. I'll also add, it being a 14-week course, it is about a 12 to 14-hour investment of time a week, of study, of reflection, of journaling, of meditation, of practicing, of reading, of watching videos. There's a live session that happens every Tuesday from 10 a.m. Eastern to 11 a.m. Eastern. We have a 2-hour live session with me in which we interact, we ask questions, we learn, we talk, we discuss, and we practice. And then we have pre-recorded sessions of Dr. Ben-Shahar teaching us about MBI, happiness science. And then we have pre-recorded sessions of Lee Albert teaching the anatomy part. But all of this comes together in your live sessions. We'll talk about the things you've studied and where you may have questions or you want to explore more. And then at least during the course, at least once or twice, Tal and Lee will both join us live, and we'll have interactive and very lively. Those end up being very lively and fun discussions and explorations. So I just want to say one more thing, and then I want to open it up and hear you all also. And if you're game, we can even practice a little bit of yoga before we go into the question answer session. I think we'll do it in that order. We'll do a little movement and then we'll explore a few of your questions. I just want to say one last thing. Again, you don't have to be a practicing yogi. You don't have to be a yoga sage to want to make yoga a part of your life and to get into a teacher training program. Everyone who's been joining us in the previous cohorts came either with immense yogic background, already having teacher trainings, wanting to go deeper in their study, or none whatsoever, none at all. And yet everyone equally benefits. So, does anybody have any questions at this point? Or, okay, I see someone in the chat saying would love to do some practice. Awesome. So I know some of you don't have your cameras on. I think it's a great idea if we have cameras on and we practice, but if you don't want to, that's totally fine. I'm going to go ahead and get onto my mat, unblur my background. I am in Asia, so it's a little bit late right now, but not so late, however. So let's go ahead and find a seated position. I'm going to start with a few poses, okay? I would love for us all to experience a little bit of breathing as we're coming into our practice, right? So, wherever you are, however you are seated, let's go ahead and just feel into the hips. And I'd love for you to just drop down. So even if you're not practicing with me right now, when you're just watching and you just want to get a sense of where this journey goes, just play along and just feel your hip bones rocking back and forth a little bit. And just feel your presence onto your seat, wherever you are. Find yourself just feeling your hips connecting to your seat, to the floor, the mat, the cushion, the sofa. Bringing your hands onto your knees. We're going to go ahead and take the right hand on top of the left ear and give the head a little stretch, just stretching out the left side of the neck. This part of the cervical spine, which never really gets a stretch, right? I'm going to go ahead and just feel into the length of the side. And then coming back to center, let's go ahead and tilt the head over to the left side and just feel the length along the right side of the head and the neck. And then go ahead and take a deep breath in your belly, always filling the belly with deep and profound oxygen, and then exhaling really nice and slow. And then let's bring the chin towards the chest. I want you to stretch out the back of your head, the tiny vertebrae right behind the neck, at the nape of the neck. And then we're going to take a couple of circular motions with the head and the neck, but just be very gentle and really feel into any tightness, any soreness, any stretching, any discomfort even, any gentle cricks that the neck might be making. Just feeling into everything. Coming back to a central position, let's go ahead and lift the arms up and bring the hands together. Now, this is really good for your spinal column. So if anyone has anything going on with their spine, scoliosis, anything, we're going to go ahead and enjoy this pose. You just want your spine to be really nice and tall. We're going to turn over to the left side, bring your right hand onto the left knee, the left hand behind your left hip, and you're going to look over your left shoulder. You want to really lengthen through the spine. Look over the left shoulder. And now take a deep breath in the belly and a slow, lazy exhale. Feels good. Let's come back up with the arms up overhead, and then we're going to go ahead and open out to the right side. Right hand behind the right hip, left hand onto the right knee. Give yourself a gentle twist. Look over your right shoulder. Deep breath in. Slow, lazy exhale. Another breath in. Slow, lazy exhale. Let's come back to the front. Now, this is one of the favorite poses that everybody loves doing because it really helps with hip tightness. You want to bring your feet out to the front. They should be about hip distance apart or maybe even a little wider. And you just want to go ahead and drop both knees towards the left side. Bring your hands behind your hips. And then go ahead and lift up and just bring, so you kind of what is called a windshield wiper pose. Go ahead and lift and drop the knees down. Feel a little stretch along the side of your leg. Rise back up, dropping it back down. And then let's go ahead and do one more. Super amazing. It just feels so good. So the movements are slow, they're gentle, they're tender to the body, but they've been designed to heal the body. And of course, this is a consistent practice. The more you do it, the more your body stays prepared for the journey forward and also journey in present time where you are. Let's come on to all fours. We're going to bring the hands in line with the shoulders. Spread your fingers nice and wide. And the hips in line with the knees. At first, I invite you to just sway your hips from side to side. And really plug your palms into the earth. Hollow out your belly, bring your chin towards your chest and let your head drop and tuck your tailbone under. You guys are familiar with cat-cow? Maybe some of you. Inhale, lift the head, lift the tailbone up, spread your collarbones. Spread your fingers wider. Exhale, tuck the tailbone under. Bring your chin to chest, let go of your head. Exhale, exhale, exhale. And take a deep inhale, lift the head, lift the tailbone up. Now we're going to go ahead and tuck the toes under. We're going to lift the knees off the mat. We're going to very gently come into downward facing dog with bent knees. Now the difference between SPIRE Yoga and other yoga practices is that other yoga practices expect you to get right into down dog as if you were a pro. But we actually want to protect your hamstrings. Every pose has been thought through. So when you're in down dog in SPIRE Yoga, you're going to keep your knees bent because you want to take the pressure out of the lower back and you don't want to overstretch your hamstrings, which are already too tight in the case of most people, especially if you're a runner, if you walk several miles, if you live in the city. City life will often tighten hamstrings. So let's go. We're going to go ahead and pedal the dog. You're going to press one heel down. You're going to lift it up. You're going to press the other heel down. You're going to spread your fingers nice and wide. You want to imagine your chest is reaching towards your knees while your hands are rooting down into the earth. Okay? Just a few more breaths like this as you're pedaling the dog. And then very slowly, we're going to walk our hands back. We're going to keep the knees softly bent. And we're going to reach for ragdoll. We're going to go ahead and grab the opposite elbows. You want to really relax your face, relax your jaw, let go of your head. Keep your knees bent so that you don't pull too much on your lower back, right? Letting go, one of those most relaxing poses that really balances and helps with heart rate. Slows heart rate down, slows the pulse down, and brings ease into the nervous system. Very slowly, one vertebrae at a time, we're going to start to rise up to mountain pose. Okay. Beautiful. I can see some of you practicing. I love it. So let's go ahead and squeeze the shoulders up towards the ears and roll them back and imagine that the scapula are traveling down towards your hips, right? So the shoulder blades traveling down. Again, lift your shoulders up, squeeze them up, and then really open up your chest as you let those shoulder blades travel down. You can really feel that squeeze in the upper back. Let's do one more. Lifting up, exhale, letting it go. Now, there is the namaste in a regular yoga practice, and there is the namaste in the SPIRE yoga practice. So take a look, right? Namaste, these are the namastes that I learned in my 300-hour teacher training through different schools on the East Coast and the West Coast in the US. And then this is the game changer, which I didn't know about, which I learned later through Lee Albert. So this heals carpal tunnel, it heals tennis elbow, and it helps with any wrist issues that you might have. Traditional namaste is usually with elbows close to the body, but we just jazzed it up a little bit to heal the body, right? And this pose, there are some poses in our sequence that will be held for 60 seconds, because that's when you're really starting to make a difference to your muscles and you're bringing them into balance. You're preventing the body from falling into the downward spiral of pain and pain medication, right? Inhale, lift your arms up, reach up through your fingertips, root down through your feet, and then as you exhale, bring your arms down. We're going to start to forward fold. Shake out your head, let it go. And then inhale, take a flat back, hands onto the shins. Crown of the head is reaching forward, legs are long and strong. Exhale, let it go. We're going to take the right leg to the back of the mat. So I'm just going to introduce one of the opening poses, the opening flow. Now, those of you who do yoga are familiar with these poses, right? We do the equestrian pose in yoga. SPIRE is different. We insist that you come into cactus arms and you turn your palms away from each other and you spread your fingers really nice and wide and you lift through your heart. And I will share with you why that is important. We're going to go ahead and clasp the hands behind the sacrum. Roll your shoulder blades back, open through the heart, and then release. Bring both hands to frame the front foot. Gently glide your left foot back. And then see how far you can walk your hands forward without moving your knees. See if you can bring your forearms down. See if your chin comes down, or maybe your forehead. Deep shoulder stretch. Gently press your belly down onto the mat and come into what is called Sphinx pose. Now, the placement of each pose at certain points in the sequence is directed for a certain reason. And we get into all of that in our training. Let's go ahead and tuck the toes and come back to downward facing dog, and feel free to keep your knees bent and pedal your dog. We're going to go ahead and slowly take a stroll towards the front of the mat, always keeping the integrity of the spine. We're going to keep the knees bent as we rise up to the top. Coming back to our Anjali Mudra, or our specific kind of namaste, right? You want those elbows pushing out. You want your wrists to be pressing, the heels of the hands to be pressing against each other. Something so simple, even if you were sitting in front of your computer working, take a moment, release the keypad and just bring your hands like this. This effectively, over the long term, prevents carpal tunnel. Okay, and it prevents tennis elbow, as I said, and it can prevent rheumatoid arthritis. It helps heal already existing pain in the body as well. And like I said, it has to be a daily practice. It can't be one and done, yeah? Like all good things. Inhale, lift the arms back up. Exhale, Come on and come into a forward fold. Bring your hands down onto the earth. Let go of your head completely. Bring your hands onto your shins. Go ahead and look forward. Spine is nice and long. Legs are long and strong. You're going to bring the hands down. We'll take the left leg to the back of the mat. Now, I also want to say that if any of this seems advanced, we're going to go really slow and we're going to offer modifications, tools, blocks, straps, cushions, blankets, anything that you need to assist you in this practice. You're going to learn the ways to help yourself get into the poses, and we'll come up with modified versions of it too. You want to turn your palms up, palms out. You want to squeeze your shoulder blades back and down and lift up through the heart. And then we're going to go ahead and bring the hands on either side of the right foot. We'll bring the knees together. We're going to see how far we can walk our hands forward. We're going to press the forearms down. Make sure your hips and your knees are in a straight line. Bring your chin or your forehead to the mat, whatever feels accessible. Very slowly glide forward. Lift your heart up. And then very gently, we're going to make our way back to downward facing dog. Now, all this is broken down into very tiny bite-sized morsels so that we can really digest and process and understand how to get into these poses and get out of these poses when we go through our training, right? Now, we're going to take a little stroll to the front of the mat. Come back into ragdoll. Let yourself sway from side to side. And then very gently come back up to a standing position. One of the most powerful poses that I will teach you that is part of SPIRE Yoga is called the quad stretch. I'm sure most of you are familiar with it. You reach for your right foot. You can hold on to a table or the wall, whatever feels comfortable. And you want to try to bring your right heel close to your hip. Even if it's not possible, it can be away from the body. You're going to go ahead and balance on that left leg. Lift the left arm up. Now, also for many of my students, we offer all kinds of modifications. Some people are unable to take this pose. You can go ahead and put your foot onto a chair at the back. You still get that entire front body stretch. And you lift your arm up and you hold this pose for about 60 seconds as well in the actual training, right? Now I'll explain to you why this is one of the most important poses that anybody can do. And let's go ahead and switch onto the other side. That anybody can do at any point in their life during their day. And it's because we are a forward-bending society. And I'll get more into it. We're just going to go ahead and release, shake everything out, shake out your feet, shake out your legs. And let's go ahead and take a seat wherever you are. And I'd love to answer questions and discuss what we just got into. Now, one of the important things I want to share, which I kept saying, I'll share with you, is the psoas stretch. Why is that one of the important 7 stretches that you're going to learn in the program? It's called the Magnificent 7. We have 1 week we're going to study that. Yoga was created or invented or discovered 5,000 years ago. The 5,000-year-old human body was very different than the bodies that are living in 2026. We didn't have devices back then, right? We were in touch with nature more. We woke up with the rising sun. We slept with the shining moon. But now we work way late into the night, right? And we are up at different hours and we're constantly gripping our phones and we're constantly on our computers. And people didn't have carpal tunnel back then. Now they do. They didn't have tennis elbow. They didn't have lower back pain. They didn't have upper back pain. People were sturdier. They used to walk long distances just to fetch water. But because our societies are forward bending, we're driving our cars like that, it has created a lot of spasms in the back body of a lot of people, a lot of pain in the upper body, a lot of pain in the lower body, scoliosis, misalignment of hips. And the poses that have been curated for SPIRE Yoga, they're designed to target all those conditions so that they can heal and they can come into balance. It is when we feel lower back pain or even knee pain, it's because one hip is higher than the other. And through the practice of these poses, the intention and the effort is to bring both hips into alignment so that you wouldn't experience lower back pain and you wouldn't experience knee pain. Similarly, for the upper back or the arms, anywhere, because muscles work in pairs. Excuse me, it's asthma season. If one set of muscles is feeling stretched or tight or painful, it's because its supporting back muscle has been overused. So we either stretch, we strengthen, or we slacken the muscle depending on what is needed, depending on what condition we're working with. So I've done enough talking, and I think that I would love to open this up to ask you questions, for you to ask me questions rather, and maybe I'll ask you some questions too, and answer your queries. Are you interested in yoga as a personal practice, as something that you really want to bring into the world, as something that you need for yourself? So please feel free to raise your hands at any point. And I will actually, because there's a few of you, maybe you could just unmute and share if you had a question to ask. Yes, so somebody has written in the chat an important question. Is the meeting mandatory? Yes. So Tuesday, 10 a.m. live. The program is designed for people who are working. And some of our students are working and are students. And sometimes they miss classes. Everything is recorded. And you have lifetime access to all the recordings and all the resource material. So if for any reason you're unable to attend the class, you will have access to the recording. Certainly. Going over the schedule. Okay. Tuesday mornings, we'll have the live session. And then in the LMS, the learning management system that you will all have access to, there will be weekly classes that you will be tuning into. You will be learning about MBI, yoga, the anatomy, the techniques, the training, the physiology, the history. You will have access to all of that. And every week is divided so that the first week, when we're doing the introduction, you're going to go ahead and learn about the techniques, the training, what it's all about. The second week, we're going deeper into yoga wisdom, and we're going to start practicing together a little bit. You'll have all the readings pertaining to that and the videos that you'll be watching to support that week. We have a week on pranayama, breath work. You'll have supported readings, videos to watch. You'll get to practice. We'll practice together, right? And similarly, we'll go through each week like that. 14 weeks, it culminates into you having the skills to teach a yoga class. And it won't be a super formal yoga class. It will be a friend or a family member. You will have the tools at that point to be able to lead a class, to be able to hold space for a class, to be able to guide your student through. Oh, yes. What a great question, Nicole. In so many ways. in so many ways. Can yoga help with cardiac vascular issues like cholesterol? Now, cardiac issues are usually addressed by, well, you should have a very good exercise regime. Doctors often say you should do the kind of workout that raises your heart rate. So, your heart is pumping good blood into the body and it's working effectively. And that's important and effective. Yoga is a very strong and important companion. The breath work that we do, the movements that you'll do. Yes, physically, it will heal your body. It'll balance out all the imbalances. But it also helps with your nervous system. It helps to calm your nervous system. Cholesterol, heart disease is all related to stress. And I think one of the greatest side effects of being a yoga student is that inadvertently you learn ways of managing your emotions and learn ways of managing your stress. Can we take all classes asynchronously based on our time constraint? The class, if I understand the question correctly, the classes are synchronous, 1 week, second week, third week. As the session ends, the following day, the recording will be available for that entire week, and then you will have access to it. In fact, you'll have access to it for a lifetime. But yeah, you will see the video hopefully the week or a little bit later, depending on how busy you are. I've had students do a little catch up. So they may have missed 4 weeks, or some people were on vacation sometimes and they came back and caught up. So yes, that's absolutely possible. If you want to attend live, when will the live practices be scheduled? They're all during the sessions, Kara. They're all during the sessions. So while the Tuesday sessions are going on, we'll be covering history, philosophy, theory, but we'll also do practices in those sessions. What about overweight issues, which restricts us from completely doing a pose like standing on one leg? Yes, very good question. So I've had students with very severe injuries as well, and also MS, scoliosis, and therefore, certain inability to do certain poses. So we will provide modifications. There is no wrong way to heal your body. There's no wrong way to do yoga. But there are systems that can really impart super amazing benefits. And yeah, we've been offering and I'll talk about all of those during the sessions as well. All the modifications that any particular student needs according to their needs. I also see someone's hand is up. Glenna, yes, please go ahead and ask your question.
Hi, thank you, Tanya. I did those exercises. That was really nice because I was just with the doctor this morning. I have lower back issues at the moment. So I was listening in and then I got out and did those exercises. So thank you for that. I suppose my question is, when one is doing a pose and, when one is in a yoga class or doing a course where the teacher can physically see maybe movements that need to be adjusted. So my question, I guess, is around adjustments that we would have in an in-person class or course.
Yeah, that's a great question, Glenna. Actually, I was teaching in yoga studios for 14 years in New York City, and I've taught yoga retreats worldwide. I've led retreats in Spain, in Morocco, in Turkey, in Thailand, in Puerto Rico, and I used to teach in person until, of course, COVID happened and the world shifted online. But then I also noticed that there were so many people in the world that needed access to good healing that they couldn't have because they didn't have the yoga studio in their neighborhood, but they could only have that access via online. The way that the sequence is developed and the specific sequence that we are studying, Inspire Yoga, is actually a very gentle sequence. And I'm quite diligent about going through each and every pose very slowly, diligently, and I observe every student. I request everyone to have their cameras on, which during practice everybody does because everybody wants to know whether I'm doing this correctly or not. And now, having taught online for 5 years since COVID happened, I cannot say that any of my students have ever felt that, oh, there's a great difference. In fact, in certain studios in the United States now, they don't allow hands-on assist anymore due to, legal issues or some people having issues with that. So it's become a little bit of a gray area, hands-on assists in present day with yoga. But teaching online and watching you, and even every time I'm practicing, yes, I can take the full expression of the pose because I've been doing yoga for 15 years. Some of my students can't. But I also do modifications as I'll do the poses so that I break it down and I let you know that, look, if you can't go completely into downward facing dog, here's an alternative. Maybe you put your knees onto blocks and bring your hands out in front. And we'll demo that and show that as well. So it's quite, we really comb through each and every pose so that we're able to give the kind of experience to our online students that we could give in person. In fact, the studio that I used to teach at in Manhattan for 14 years, even though they opened up after COVID, the yoga teacher training, they're still teaching online because it's giving more accessibility to a lot more people. Sorry. So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you.
Yes. And I would like to say, sorry.
Sorry, just one last thing. You mentioned, say, people with MS, and I'm just thinking of somebody I know. Is there any, just quickly, is there any research that has been done with doing yoga and maybe SPIRE Yoga? I don't know if you've had any experience with working with somebody with MS, and have you seen or have they experienced some sort of improvement in their well-being? Thank you.
So Glenna, the anatomy part is actually curated after research and study of 30 years of healing people with chronic pain in their body. Truly, the entire sequence came about because of what was working for people who were experiencing pain and imbalance and any kind of degeneration in their body. Now, can yoga reverse MS? I don't think so. I don't believe so. Is there research that it supports the healing and it supports the well-being of the person and gives their body the kind of support that is needed as they go through this journey? Certainly. I mean, because the entire anatomy part is curated based on how bodies are hurting, rather than yoga teacher trainings which deal with perfectly healthy bodies. Our program is actually curated for bodies that are healing, the bodies that are out of balance. So yes, it may not support the complete healing, obviously, but it does support the journey of the person going through MS, because it does give you so many tools, other than strengthening, just balancing the body so that the muscles that are getting underused will be awakened just a little bit here and there. And again, we work with every student and we teach you the ways to work with every person that you will be working with so that you know how to hold space for them and to guide them through that practice. But yes, in 30 years of healing chronic pain, I think Lee has come across all kinds of issues. Yeah. If you are considering signing up for the program, there's a special going on today. I just wanted to share that before I forget. And that is, if you sign out with Yoga 10 on our website, you get a 10% discount on the final price, which always helps. So, if anyone has a question or a concern or a thought, again, feel free to just ask. I do want to reinforce the fact that this is yoga for the modern body. This is not yoga for the 5,000 years ago yogi. It's really been devised to help the bodies that are crouching forward, that are forward bending, and they are gripping. We call ourselves a gripping society now. And because of that, certain muscles, such as the upper back muscles, are overstretched. And certain muscles have gone into slackening. And we need to start to do poses and practices that balance the body so that we don't feel pain in the shoulders, moving out into the future in our 70s, in our late 60s, in our 80s, but that we live in healthy and healed bodies and bodies that continue to heal. And like I said, you don't have to be a practitioner of several years to take this practice, to learn about the benefits of yoga. And I'll share a little anecdote before I close our session, unless anyone has a question. I worked in corporate America after I graduated from Harvard because that's what you do. And I found in 2008 that the stressors of my life were far too much. Absolutely, I'll put my personal email address in, and I'll put my Happiness Studies email address in, so you can always reach out to me, ask questions. And I was going through a lot of stress in my own life. And I realized that I needed something more than, just taking a long walk and going to the gym. And my family's from India and Pakistan, and I was advised to go take a yoga class. So I took a yoga class. You do what your, elders say. And I'd never taken a yoga class prior to that, but it was very interesting. And I'm sure a lot of you have experienced this. I felt something shift. I felt better. My body felt, even the little stretches we did right now, I felt like something was internally massaged in my body. And I went up to the teacher and I said, I've never done this. I don't know what this is, but I need to learn this. I don't know if I'm ever going to teach this. This might be just for me, because I know something changed. And I want more of that, because I need that healing. And that's when I immediately signed up. That day that I walked in my first yoga class, I signed up for a 200-hour yoga teacher training. And then I just, much to my mother's chagrin, resigned from my corporate job and decided that I needed to do something that was fulfilling me, heart, mind, body, and soul, and fulfilling me in ways that my 9 to 5 wasn't, or my 9 to 7 wasn't. And I've never looked back. And learning SPIRE has changed the game for me entirely, because for 14 years I was practicing Ashtanga. And SPIRE now I don't really want to practice any other kind of yoga. I just want to practice the yoga that's going to keep me fit and healthy in my 60s, in my 50s, in my 70s, and onwards, hopefully. So you have my email address. Oh, I didn't spell Happiness Studies correctly, but you know how to spell it, right? Please reach out with any questions, any thoughts, and we can chat. 14 weeks, you're equipped to teach. You get the Yoga Alliance certification, and you'll find yourself in a changed body that will continue to change as you practice. We start January 6th. Yes. Thank you so much. And remember, every time you do this in your yoga class next time, lift the elbows up. Add your little zing so that at least your tendons and muscles and bones are going to stay healed out into the future. Thank you so much for joining us. Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you. I'll stick around for a couple of minutes if anyone wants to ask a question. Otherwise, feel free to sign out. And you
Sorry,
will have the recording. Yes.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I'll just ask one more. So just to clarify, it is the live class on a Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern time. And then there are two recorded sessions during the week as well. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So live classes every Tuesday for 14 weeks, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., sorry, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m.
So 2 hours, okay.
Yes, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. every Tuesday, New York time, Eastern time. And we have recorded sessions of IPT, integrated positional therapy, and live sessions of Tal Ben-Shahar on happiness studies / positive psychology / mind-body integration. And then when we
Sorry.
meet the following week,
Oh, sorry. The live sessions with Tal, are they the ones that he has on the Thursday night or on the Thursday?
no.
Sorry.
So
Oh,
his sessions are pre-recorded, Tal's sessions are
okay.
pre-recorded, and so are Lee Albert's. But we
Okay,
will
so
have
they are
Tal,
recorded, yeah.
yeah. But we will have Tal visit during the week, during the 14 weeks. He joins us at one point, and so does Lee Albert. And we get to chat with them
Tuesday
live.
session, on the Tuesday
Yes,
session. Yes.
exactly.
Okay. That's what I just wanted to clarify. So I
Yes.
have it in my head, the timetable. Thank you so much, Tanya. Thank
You're
you very
so
much.
welcome. Every
Okay.
Tuesday for 14 weeks, we'll be journeying together. Yeah.
Okay. Super. All right. I will be in touch. Thank you so
Awesome.
much.
Thank you
Thanks
so
for your
much.
answers.
I'm available to answer any questions afterwards. You have my email address. Have a beautiful rest of your day or your evening. Thank you so much for joining. And I look forward to seeing some of you. And I hope that you'll find the enrichment that we are indulging in and enjoying. Namaste. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.